Welcome back. You're watching Trading Calls live on 18 hours. Straight off now to Manish Sonthalia, Senior Vice President and Fund Manager with Motilal Oswal Securities, who joins us live. Manish, good morning. Good to have you on the show. Manish, in last 2 weeks, Indian markets have appreciated by about 8%. But if I look at the fundamental turf, nothing has changed. Crude has moved up. Inflation is still a concern. So what has changed for India, and why is money coming back?
Yeah, so there's something more that the markets are reading into than what is apparently known. I think the markets are giving some sort of benefit and on expectations that post elections in 5 states, you could see some reforms coming through. I think that is something which the markets are building in. That is maybe what is attracting foreign inflows into the country. So that is something which is leading the markets, and on an overall basis, I think global markets have rallied. So it is quite unlikely that Indian markets would not rally, and this is in line with other emerging markets. So it's nothing out of the place, but my sense is the strength in the Indian markets is on the back of expectation of some policy reforms coming post elections in 5 states.
Manish, what about individual stocks? How are you reading into the news on Suzlon? Does it seem like there would be no immediate synergies which would come about from RE Power, and therefore you may not see a lot of excitement on the Suzlon stock when it opens for trade today?
I think the balance 5% stake which they are wanting to acquire will give them recourse to the cash which they have on RE Power's books. So, till about 6 months back, it was closer to around 1,000 crores, which they were not allowed to use, in spite of having 95% stake. So the balance 5% stake, whenever it comes through, will give them access to the additional funds which is standing on RE Power books. And, there will be more synergies, so to speak. So some sort of a positive impact on Suzlon stock price, but not a hell of a lot, based on the above developments.
Let's look at one group and one cluster which is now suddenly outperforming. BGR Energy, BHEL, Thermax, large cap machinery makers are now suddenly outperforming. Manish, why, and are markets ignoring the basic fact that copper and aluminum prices, they are up, and if copper and aluminum prices, they are up, machinery companies could witness a strong margin erosion?
Now you saw BHEL numbers yesterday, so execution is quite good, at least as far as the fourth quarter is concerned. So I think the best in class results have actually come out of BHEL. Others like BGR, L&T, etc. would have profit growth, but not to the extent of what BHEL would have reported. So one, because the entire sector has underperformed in the recent past. Second, the execution is quite strong. Margins would see some moderation or some dent because of higher input prices. On an overall basis, what you can expect is so something like a 17-18% growth in net profits for Larsen and Toubro. For the fourth quarter, what we have seen for BHEL is something like a 45-47% growth in profits for the fourth quarter. Others would fall in line. So, engineering as a class or as a sector in the fourth quarter is expected to do well when compared on a YOY basis. Maybe that is the reason why you're seeing some flight activity in this space. And I think expectations of infra spending, capital goods spending for FY12 is what is keeping the sector buoyant. And given the fact that valuations are not very expensive because the sector has underperformed in the recent past, is leading to some interest in this space.
Manish, telecom stocks, what do you think is the way forward for telecom stocks? And when I say telecom stocks, Indian wireless companies, Idea, Arcom and Bharti.
Yeah, so I think the ongoing probe that is happening into the 2G spectrum and new telecom policy which is expected to come through would be operationally beneficial for incumbent telecom companies. What we have seen is that tariffs have fallen to the lowest level of whatever they had to fall. There is no further downtick, at least just yet. 3G would start to pick up traction. So in terms of traffic growth, you should be seeing for the Jan to March quarter something like a 8% traffic growth in the case of Bharti, and a similar figure in the case of Idea. There will be some margin expansion for the fourth quarter, and valuations are not very expensive. So if you look at international mergers and acquisitions deals, they are happening at far expensive valuations than what we are seeing, and those are sort of saturated markets. Here we are in a growth market, so valuation comfort is there. 3G is now going to shape up the things, and going forward, tariffs have fallen to the lowest levels. Internet penetration will move up, so data business should also move up. That should lead the sector in good stead going forward.